Good morning to everyone. Today, we will be discussing on project-based versus problem-based learning. What are they and why should we be using these strategies? Project-based learning and problem-based learning has a great strategies to engage students, help students become critical thinkers, and develop 21st century skills. First, let's talk about the problem-based learning. When we say problem-based learning, means that problems are complex and open-ended. Students work in groups collaboratively to solve problems. Students use resources, including technology, to work together to solve problems. Problem often incorporate real-life situation. Okay, sinasabi dito na ang problem-based learning can promote an effective strategy for helping students to acquire many of the skills that are required of them. So, masasabi ba natin na effective ang problem-based learning? Of course, yes, because it can promote teamwork and critical thinking skills. Also, it can help develop flexible knowledge and effective collaboration skills. How about the project-based learning? In project-based learning, students lead and teacher facilitated. Students are driven by their natural curiosity according to Bell. Project-based learning is a strategy for creating independent thinkers and learners. Okay, let me show you the history of PBL. Now, let's proceed to the differences of project-based learning and problem-based learning. Problem-based learning involves students working together to solve a problem. Usually, problems are tied to real-life situation, while in project-based learning, it can be collaborative or individual. So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Also, they have the similarities. Both problem-based and project-based learning help students gain critical thinking, allow students to utilize classroom resources and technology. Both requires students to be motivated and self-directed, and the teacher act as facilitator in both project-based and problem-based learning. In this process, students pursue solutions to open-ended problems by formulating questions for investigating, designing plans or proposal, collecting, analyzing, and integrating information, constructing explanation and models, and creating artifacts or products of their understanding.
Problem-based learning ideas. What are the solutions to the problems kids face today? Childhood diabetes, childhood obesity. There are many endangered species in our state. What can we do to help solve the problem? At one school, each grade level has 3 problem learning units per year. Students work towards solving a real-life world problem through deep research and investigations. Guest speakers come in, field trips are scheduled, and then students present their solutions to a panel of experts as the culminations of the unit. Project-based learning. What is project-based learning? Project-based learning projects are different because they rely upon the student's interest. Questions. Do a project where you find the volume of a specific object or design an object and find the volume. Brainstorming. What is brainstorming? It is design your dream house, like find the volume of each room. Design an aquarium, like find the volume of water needed to fill the tank. And also, find the volume of the swimming pool at Pirates Core Fun Center. Problem-based learning and project-based learning in your classrooms. Project-based learning starts with the questions and allow students to let interest drive learning. Project-based learning. It also gives students an open-minded and a complex problem that they can solve. The problem can be a real-life focus and offer a solution to a real-life world problem. Collaboration time. What is collaboration time? Meet with your grade level team and brainstorm problem-based learning ideas. It also let problems stem from science and social studies standards. Literacy will seamlessly integrate. True learning is based on discovery rather than the transmissions of a knowledge by John Debye.
Shape of the day. What is problem-based learning? Problem-based learning, or PBL, is a teaching method in which complex real-world problems are used as the vehicle to promote students' learning of concepts and principles as opposed to direct presentation of facts and concepts. It is a student-centered approach in which students learn about a subject by working in groups to solve an open-ended problem. This problem is what drives the motivation and the learning. Why use problem-based learning? According to Nelson, list the following learning outcomes that are associated with PBL. A well-designed PBL project provides students with the opportunity to develop skills related to working in teams, managing projects, and holding leadership roles, oral and written communication, self-awareness and evaluation of group processes, working independently, critical thinking and analysis, explaining concepts, self-directed learning, applying course content to real-world examples, researching and information literacy, problem solving across disciplines. It is where the student shows the capability to determine on how they act on the real world and on how they develop on the problems given on them. The tree-structured problem is based on desired learning outcome, learner characteristics, compelling real-world situation. It is also allows a child to demonstrate his or her capabilities while working independently. It shows that the child's ability to apply desired skills such as doing research. It developed the child's ability to work with his or her peers, building teamwork and group skills. Role of the students. Confront the problem. Kailangan natin maging specific or malaman kung ano ba yung main problem ng isang topic. Determine know, need, or need to know. Kailangan natin malaman muna kung ano ba ang kailangan nating i-focus or kailangan nating malaman sa isang problem. Define the problem. To have this problem, we need to know and to define on how we can resolve it or on how we can answer this one question or some questions or the problems. Design plan to solve the problem. We need a plan to solve the problem. So it means that sa isang problema, para na masolusyonan ito or masagot ito, kailangan natin makakita ng isa or higit pa na solusyon para ito'y matapos or masolusyonan. Gather information. Sometimes, to have a problem, we need to gather some information. Like survey or magtanong-tanong
kung ano ba talaga ang pinagmulan or ang punot-dulo ng isang problema. Construct potential solution. The construct potential solution is nakikita mo or nalalaman mo kung ano ba ang maaring solusyon ng isang problema para ito'y matapos at maging successful ikaw na masagutan ito. Last, select and present the best fit. Sinasabi naman dito is if nakuha mo na ang lahat ng kasagutan, you need to reflect on it or isummary mo to like on how you understand the answer and the questions or the problems given on you. Para mas maipresent mo siya and mas mabigay mo yung pangangailangan at maging suporta ng isang katanungan.
Advantage of PBL. Typically, students find it more enjoyable and satisfying. It encourages greater understanding. Students with PBL experience greater abilities higher. PBL develops lifelong learning skills. Why students like it? It allows a child to demonstrate his or her capabilities while working independently. It shows the child's ability to apply desired skills such as doing research. It develops the child's ability to work with his or her peers, building teamwork and group skills. What is behind PBL? PBL is a student-centered pedagogy that involves a dynamic classroom approach, in which it is believed that students acquire a deeper knowledge through active exploration of real-world challenges and problems. Where does PBL fit? PBL fits best with process-oriented course outcomes such as collaboration, research, and problem solving. It can help students acquire content or conceptual knowledge, or develop disciplinary habits such as writing or communication.
What is the difference between
Project-based learning and problem-based learning? While in the project-based learning, students have to produce an artifact to demonstrate their mastery of content. In problem-based learning, students have to present a solution to a clearly defined, authentic problem.
Components of a PBL unit: Stakeholder, Three-structured problem, Teacher as coach, Constraints, Formative assessment, Problem solving, Metacognition, Assessment. Student as a stakeholder. Increase ownership, provide a form of apprenticeship and discipline. Perspective taking, a key decision maker, must be someone with authority, responsibility, and accountability. The three-restricted problem needs more information before it becomes clear. Can be solved in more than one way. Has more than one resolution. Changes sometimes with new information. Is ambiguous and unclear. Teacher as coach. Metacognition. Metacognition is a set of skills that enable learners to become aware of how they learn and to evaluate and adapt these skills. It becomes increasingly effective at learning. Guide on the side. An educator whose method is to provide the student with educational advice, assistance, and correction while allowing them to explore a subject area independently or by interacting among themselves. This educational method itself. Constraints. A well-designed problem is constrained to the issue on which the teacher wants the student to focus. Assessment. How will I know if students are learning? what I want them to learn. Many familiar assessment tools can be utilized to monitor students' group works, skills, critical thinking, metacognition, and learning facts.
Good day everyone, I'm Justin R. Senora, B.Ed 2A. I'm here to discuss the following: problem solving, metacognition, grasps, the flow of the problem, and lastly learning issues board. Problem solving. Students will need to find potential solutions to the problem and determine which solution is the best fit. Problem solving is the process of determining first or identifying the problem itself. What is the cause of the problem? And students need to identify, clarify, and suggest the best solution or alternative for the problem. And lastly, implementing metacognition. Students think about their thinking. What do I think the problem? My perspective change. Metacognition means it is our thinking of our thinker. Here, in this process, teacher as just inside as the guide, facilitator, or monitor. Let the student engage more and discover grasps. Grasps is used by teachers to use as a authentic assessment. Has the acronym goal, role, audience, situation, and criteria. Goal. Provide a statement of the task. Establish the goal, problem, challenge, or obstacles in the task or challenge, or it can be given by the teacher in assessment. Teacher should give doing it and the importance it on a real world situation. Next is role. Define the role of the students in the task. State the job of the students for the task. Here is the gampanin o yung mga inaasahang gagampanan ng mga estudyante sa paggawa ng goal para sila ay matuto sa kanilang dapat gawin. Sunod ay audience. Next is audience. Identify the target audience within context of the scenario. Example audience might include a client or committee. Audience means can be another person, stakeholder, who can help student to strengthen or excel something or learn new tasks. Situation. Set the context of the scenario. Explain the situation. For example, teacher asks the student to play the idea to play basketball. So student as the role, he or she should discover himself by playing basketball. Situation means having audience, having the partner, and this situation is maybe playing in midget or barangay level or playing with someone who making friends or someone who will check or assess the capability of doing so of the students. Next is the product. Clarity what the students will create and why they will create it. So, a specific goal will produce students better. So, as a product, for example, students should learn basketball. So, they must apply with themselves playing basketball, the fundamentals of playing basketball. Next is standards and criteria indicators. Provide the students with a clear picture of success. Identify specific standards for success. Issue rubrics for the students or develop them with the students. So here, giving the students the expectation on doing things. Playing basketball, they must play basketball and engage it properly and do it in their free time or with authenticity or happily. Next is the problem, the flow of the problem. The flow of the problem has three stages: understand the problem, explore the curriculum, resolve the problem. Here in understand the problem has three categories. To understand the problem, meet the problem, no need or no or need to know, define the problem statement. So student encountered the problem which is given by the teacher or by themselves encountered. So they should first identify and face the problem and what is the reason behind that problem and define the main problem. Next is explore the curriculum. Gather information, share information, generate possible solutions. Here, it can be yourself or collaborative as long as you share ideas with other or with your own self. So, after generating possible solutions, lastly is resolving the problem. Determine best fit solution, present the solution, debrief the problem. If the solution or the alternatives is suggested or napagkasundo na yun ng magiging solution, ay yun ang itatry natin i-implement upang yung problema ay masolusyon na. Next is learning issues board. From the novel Hunches, Simon and Piggy died on the island. They were stranded on the island. They got sick or injured and couldn't get help. What we know: two boys died, Piggy and Simon. Plane crash. Boys spent weeks on island. They found food and shelter. They were friends, care for each other. So this is our initial or basic learning about the novel Hunches. Need to know: what are they traumatized about? Where was the pilot? How did they die? Were there any predators on the island? Did the boys like each other? So these are the things that we need to know or determine about. How could we know it? Plan of action, read the novel, or maybe you can ask someone who knows the novel better. Did it? Thank you for watching and listening.
Learning objectives. Read and understand text. In learning objectives, reading comprehension ability is important to process text, understand its meaning, and to integrate with what the reader already knows. Understanding both literal and symbolic meanings. It's important to understand both literal and symbolic because it serves as representation or it is something that has a greater meaning. Use oral language. The use of oral language is the system through which we use spoken words to express knowledge, ideas, and feelings. Select and use a range of reading strategies. Interpret, analyze, and evaluate ideas. Write and represent ideas. These are the learning objectives. Resolve the problems. Determine the best fit solution. In determining the best solution, we need to evaluate the option and choose the best one. Remember, there is no answer in determining the best solution in the problem. Present the solution. And present the solution, students present their proposed solution to the class and defend their position using a criteria which are meaningful to the discipline. Debrief the problem. Students compare the different solutions proposed by each group. Examples are: what are the pros and cons of each? What have you done differently? And why do you think your presentation was effective? Designing a problem-based learning or PBL unit. Determining the content. Identify the stakeholder. Create the problem.
Lay out the plan and identify the constraints. And plan the assessment.
Identify the stakeholders. Fisherman, a person who catch a fish for a living for sports. Consumers. Consumers are actually stakeholders of a business in that they are impacted by the quality of served products and their values. Fish farmer. Fish farming is a form of aquaculture in which fish are raised in enclosure to be sold as food. Land developers. Land developers means any person who is engaged in land development as the principal rather than an agent or constructor. Mayor of small fishing village. A fish village is a village usually located near a fishing ground with an economy based on catching fish and harvesting seafoods. Aquarium. A container or an artificial pond in which living aquatic animals or plants are kept and established where aquatic organisms are kept and exhibited. Plant assessment. Plant assessment, facts, skills, analysis, reflection, idea problems, log, portfolio, rubrics, learning strategies, note-taking organizer, reading strategies, teachers as expect, graphic organizer, adding up logically, making inference, presentation outline, reflection journalist. Join us. Differentiation. You can use the same tools that you would use in any other lesson. Many of the learning strategies are tools to differentiate. Examples: provide at research materials, breaking the problems into steps tasks, graphic organizer with the fill in the blank, research in pairs, vocabulary list. Genetic disorder problem. Genetic disorder occur when a mutation, a harmful change to a gene, also known as pathogenic variant, affects your genes or when you have the wrong amount of genetic materials. Genes are made of DNA, which contains instructions for cells functioning and the characteristics that make you unique.